in those moments when everything just seems like the world is against you, and you stub your toe, and you burn your lip on your coffee, and every little thing just seems to add up. It's so easy, right? I'm telling you that you got to think about it now because it's not easy in the moment. It's so easy to stop and just ask yourself, like, what am I feeling right now?
I'm going out my mind. Give me some directions to get to you. To get to you, ain't gonna waste my time. I know that we got connection. I think about you. You're on my mind, on my mind, on my mind. Yeah, I'm going out of my mind, out of my mind, out of my mind. Yeah, for you, my love. You drive me crazy, tell me what to do, what to do. I'm on my knees, yeah, I am begging you, begging you. I'll break the rules if it will get me to, yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear them throughout the broadcast, but I have my window open so that maybe you can hear the baby birds that I was referring to if you saw my posts. So let me do this. Okay, okay. So, hey everybody, how are you? It's a beautiful day here in Charlotte. So I'm having a pretty good day. It's been kind of a rough week, but I'll start with if this is the first time that we're meeting, if you're just seeing me, hey, I'm Mel Morris, and this is what I do. I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. I am the owner and chief magic officer for WTF with Mel. And today I really wanted to talk about this idea of shifting your perspective in a super easy way. So I have found that recently I've heard myself saying over and over and over again, like it's easy or it's not that hard or things of that nature. When it comes to like changing your mood, changing how you're feeling, changing your attitude about things. And I realize that in the moment, that sounds ridiculous, right? In the moment that you're going through something, it seems ridiculous that you can just like, oh, change how you're feeling about something. But you actually can. If you are being mindful, if you are taking the time beforehand to at least recognize that you don't have to feel all the things that you're feeling. So let me back up a little bit to, I guess, 2 weeks ago now when I talked about productive reflection, right? So, productive reflection is a process by which you are not just sitting down, you're going through something or you just got over something and you want to sit and reflect. You want to think about what happened, you want to journal about it, and that's yes, that's part of the process. I want you to do that. The productive part of that is the then what, right? So we went through a thing, we journaled about it. But now it's a matter of shifting that perspective when you're able to sit and reflect and you've got time and you're outside of the situation. The productive part then becomes doing something about it, sharing your story, right? Sharing it with others, sharing that vision of what you've learned and how to move that forward, right? That's the productive part. So then last week, I talked a little bit more about kind of continuing that and taking a pause, right? Maybe it was Monday when I posted about just stopping what you're doing, taking a pause, and asking yourself how you're really feeling, right? So the productive reflection is cute when you're over a situation, but it's hard. Obviously, you're not mentally ready to reflect on a situation when you're all riled up when something's going on with you. So the stopping and pausing piece of this then comes into play where, in this example that I sent out, if you get my email, or in the title here about baby birds. So my example is, it's the springtime, and as much as I can before it gets like 1,000 degrees here in Charlotte, which is going to happen any day, I try to keep the windows open, right? And because behind my house there's like a little kind of a creek, and there's lots of trees, and so there are little baby birds. It's springtime. There are little baby birds that have been born that are now hungry, that are tweeting, and birds that are chirping. And it's beautiful and it's lovely and I love it. And I got a lot of comments from people today like, oh, you got me nervous with that title. Like, who doesn't love to hear birds? I love to hear birds. Sure, we all do. It's lovely. Unless you just went to sleep, right? Unless you're a night owl and you had a shitty day the day before and you just went to sleep and all of a sudden the birds are up chirping, right? It sounds beautiful unless you just got into a fight with somebody that you really love and you're angry and you're pissed off and every little thing is just so annoying, right? So in those moments, I want you to realize that, yeah, you're going to have times when everything feels out of control, when you're upset, when you're angry, when you're hurt, when you're all the things, when you're super emotional. I am a super emotional person, right? I just told someone this weekend in a group where I was, of course, crying that I'm like the official group crier for every group that I'm in, right? But it's okay. I'm not ashamed of it. I feel a lot. Right? And if you are a crier, if you are an overfeeler, say yes, let me know in the chat. But in those moments when everything just seems like the world is against you and you stub your toe and you burn your lip on your coffee and every little thing just seems to add up, it's so easy. Right? I'm telling you that you got to think about it now because it's not easy in the moment. It's so easy to stop and just ask yourself, like, what am I feeling right now? Right? Okay. Maybe you legit feel angry. Maybe you legit are frustrated. Maybe you legit feel overwhelmed. Okay. Right? This is about naming your emotions, which I'll talk a bit more about a little today, more in the future. But asking yourself, right, if I'm angry, what am I angry about? Right? Am I angry because there's little baby birds outside chirping? Like, are they what's pissing me off right now? Chances are no, right? And again, in the example that I used in my newsletter was there's been a time when I've woken up like, what the hell with these baby birds? What are you doing? I slammed the windows shut because I'm pissed off. And then I go to the bathroom and I got to pass this giant mirror. And I said to myself, when I saw like how angry I was and frustrated because these birds were chirping, I looked in the mirror and said, shut up, you cute little baby birds, right? And you can't do that, right? And not see that reflection looking ridiculous. Like, really, you're mad at these baby birds? That's what you're doing right now? And it's because I have thought about this before. It's because I have taken the time to reflect, before I get angry or upset or whatever. But just in doing that, just in taking that pause and asking myself something different, putting a different perspective on it, it instantly changes the way that your brain is processing information, right? So I love Mel Robbins. She's one of my sheroes. And in her book, The 5 Second Rule, there's like neuroscience that shows when you can break that, you basically only got 5 seconds, right, to change your mind and take an action in a different way. Her method is to count backwards from 5. When you feel that energy, when you feel stuck, when you feel like you can't move, counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then doing something, even if it's just moving your body, moving to a different location, saying something, doing something. If you're able to do it just that quickly, it really shifts your entire energy and your ability to move forward beyond whatever's frustrating you, right? So again, I'll use that same example. So let's say I woke up, I went to bed, maybe frustrated, something wasn't working or whatever, I'm frustrated. And I go to bed super late, which is not unusual for me. And then just as the sun is coming up, the birds start, right? And it's amplified because I'm tired and I'm already frustrated. And now I'm like, these freaking birds, can I just get some sleep, right? Now, if I didn't do anything with that and I slammed the window shut and I got back into bed angry, I'm probably going to be up for a while. B, when I do wake up, I'm probably still going to be pissed off about whatever. And then it's so easy for that to snowball into, now I get out of the bed and now it's so hot in here because there's no air circulating. Oh, the dog is barking. Oh, why did somebody, leave these shoes in my way? Like everything then the rest of the day becomes a frustration, right? Because I've allowed myself to stay in that space of like, oh, well, everything's just gonna be shitty today. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just gonna be mad and angry, and it's all because these stupid little baby birds wanted to wake me up this morning. No, it has nothing to do with those cute little baby birds, right? It has to do with you recognizing that you're in a agitated state and doing something about it. It's nobody else's fault, especially not those cute little baby birds, right? It's nobody else's fault. You are the architect of what the rest of your day is going to look like. So instead of getting back in the bed and being frustrated and being angry and being mad at everybody and everybody that you run into, now you're combative, now you're frustrated, blah, 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 all day long, and your entire day just being ruined, right? If you take that moment to look in the mirror, in my example, I mean, you don't have to do this, but look in the mirror and say, like, you're being ridiculous right now. What are you doing yelling at these little baby birds? What's really going on, right? And being real with yourself, and I know some people get their, feathers ruffled, some pun intended there, when I say things about being really honest and being honest with yourself and stop lying to yourself, right? Stop making it seem like you can't help yourself, like there aren't other things that you can do, because it is hard. It is hard to not be able to just, I'm still, yeah, okay. It is hard to get out of those feelings when you're in them, but you have the ability to make that change, right? So if you look in the mirror, you realize, okay, you're being ridiculous right now, Melissa. What is going on? What are you really feeling right now? I'm angry because such and such thing happened. I feel overwhelmed that I've got so much on my plate. I'm, frustrated that my computer does what it wants to do some days, right? Whatever it is, like really sit down and ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? What's really going on right now, right? And then you get to decide how you want to move forward. Okay, so you're angry about whatever, your computer, things being crazy. Sorry, my computer's being a little loud right now. Um, you're allowed to feel how you're feeling, but then you get to process it. So you're angry, you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, whatever the things are, right? Okay, what's the next thing, right? Hey, Christina, what's the next thing that you're feeling? How can you move to a slightly better feeling, right? And I will talk more about the emotional guidance scale. And of course, I don't have it right in front of me, but it's essentially this scale that shows, the possible emotions you have, from all the way from feeling joy and love and just utter um, amazingness. I feel like I just made that up, to complete like depression, powerlessness. There are a set of emotions that fall in between that range that, I just used Monday. If you saw my video on Monday of this, I was very emotional and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things happening in the world and in my personal life and in the people closest to me. And I had to sit down and ask myself, like, what the hell is going on? What are you feeling? And so I was able to really sit down with this scale and figure out, okay, this is really what I'm feeling. And how can I move up? How can I make myself feel? What emotion's gonna feel a little bit lighter to me, right? What does that look like? And I will be walking you kind of through what that process looks like, because it's been such an invaluable tool for me to be able to use that. But without getting into all the detail of it, I just want you to know that you do something as simple as being able to take a pause. Are you coming up here? Suddenly Zaza wants to join. Come on. All right. You just see the tail. Something as simple as just pausing, right? And thinking about, what am I really feeling? That is so easy to do and so important to just change your entire perspective. So then when I was able to look in the mirror, say you're being ridiculous, how are you feeling? What's going to be different? Now, what I did is I opened the window back up, and I said, good morning, little baby birds. I actually then walked outside and just felt the sun for a little bit and realized, like, oh, what a beautiful day it is today. How can I get more of this? How can Zaza and I spend a little bit more time enjoying the day today and not being frustrated and overwhelmed like I had been when I went to sleep, right? And I started this by saying, like, it can be so simple, but it's so true, right? It's so true that something like that is just one piece of so many tools that you have at your disposal all the time, right? And so also, in the newsletter, and I don't think I posted it out today this week, because again, I was super frustrated. I don't know if I have it here. I'm going to look and see. The card that had come out was the Eight of Swords in a different deck than what I have right here. And of course, if I can find it, I'll show it to you. But the Eight of Swords, when you first look at it, it looks very intimidating, right? It looks pretty scary. Of course, it's going to be like the last card in this pile, I'm sure. Yeah, I was in my temple room when I pulled it. Maybe I'll just show you something else, because I don't even see it here. I don't know where it is. I'm sorry. I wasn't planning to necessarily pull it out for you, but I thought it would be helpful to see what I'm talking about in that instance when I kind of saw it. But essentially it was, I'll use this as another example of what it might look like if you're frustrated and a scenario situation happens. I guess I've seriously done something with it. Put that card someplace. Let me show you this card in the interim. This is a different deck. And the Nine of Wands doesn't always look quite this, I don't want to say crazy, but quite as dramatic. But let me see. But in this deck in particular, if you're just looking at these cards, right? If you were doing a reading with me and I pulled this card out, you might think, "Ooh, she looks kind of crazy," right? Inside, surrounded by those wands, like she's scared, like she's petrified. And at first blush, yeah, I mean, it looks like a very fearful card. And you might be nervous and you might be worried, just like you might be aggravated or angry. When you first look at a situation, you might feel overwhelmed or nervous. But if you take a moment to dig a little bit deeper, right, you can say, well, what might she be scared of, right? What might she be going through? What possible, supports might she have, right? Is she actually safe, right? There are other questions that you can ask yourself if you take the time to kind of step back and see the bigger situation, right? All right, let me come back to me. And I'm totally now going to have to find my Nine of Swords card, Eight of Swords card in my other deck, and I'll post it here as well so you can see it. But the message for today really is to stop and reflect, really just pause, just take a minute, right? Before this call, I was in another group and, a friend she's very overwhelmed with all the things that are going on in her business and multiple businesses she has going on. She just had a baby and it's a lot, and it's okay. It's okay to stop and give yourself a break, give yourself space to take a breath, right? That's what I encourage all of you to do, right? So I think I'll leave it there for today. I really just want you, again, to have this next kind of tool in this series of just taking a pause and asking yourself what you're feeling, right? And if you're really mad at little baby birds chirping, right? Or if you're in a space where you can make yourself have a much better day, right? So if you've got any questions, you can always ask. I love hearing from you. I love helping out. I will be back in the group actually to talk about some things that are coming up. I'll be in the group, I think tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not already in the WTF with Mel Facebook group, join me over there and we'll talk a little bit more about things that are coming up. And certainly if you have any questions or if I can help in any way, let me know. I love you guys. Thanks for being here and stay magical.